One of those questions I get is, where do I find fonts for projects that I'm working on? Just something very basic. I don't want to have to pay a lot of money for fonts. So what I normally do is, for my students, I recommend that they start with Google. Google offers Google Fonts, and if we go to fonts.google.com, enter that, we can immediately see all of the fonts that Google offers here. So we get different categories up here. We get serif, sans serif, display, handwriting, and monospace. These are all different categories. So if you want to find, say, all of the serifs, we can turn off all of these buttons and we see serif typefaces in front of us. If you're not familiar with what serifs are, they are the little decorative strokes that we see at the ends of main strokes of letter forms. So just to kind of bring that into view here, let's take a look at this letter A here on Playfair display. We can see we have serifs at the ends of the main strokes here. These little feet, if you will, these are serifs and little decorative endings. So we will go ahead and look at the opposite. That would be sans serif. These do not have those little finishing strokes, and we can tell sans serif by that very characteristic. We don't see them there, so let me make this a little bit smaller, and you can see serif usually come across as being more traditional and classic, while the sans serif come across as being more modern or kind of cutting edge, contemporary. So we can choose the different categories up here. Display, that's if we're using something that we want that's a little more decorative. Suppose we're doing a headline or something to that effect for an advertisement. Those work perfectly for that. Got a lot of different options. We can go to handwriting, things that mimic cursive, for example, and scripts, and just simple handwriting. Maybe we have some block lettering. We want to do some packaging that's a little bit, say, rustic looking. We can go to our handwriting typefaces here. Monospace, those have equal spacing all the way around the letter forms. And we go ahead and we get a lot of different options there as well. So now that we know that, let me show you a way to download all of these. The first thing I want to show you is, if you want to learn how to download and install Google Fonts on the Mac and the PC, you can do those individually. Dusty Porter's YouTube channel has a video just for that, how to download and install Google Fonts. Again, Dusty Porter put this out in January of 2020. Great video, easy to follow, walks you through how to do everything and shows you how to download individual fonts, how to download them as groups, and install them on the Mac and the PC. I'm also going to show you a very helpful website that I like. Let me drag here. I have this URL. Actually, I'll go ahead and click it. This is GitHub, github.com/Google/fonts. You can come down the page here, and every so often when new fonts are added, this will be updated. This is a repository, a place where everything is stored, and you can download a zip file here, the master zip file of all the Google fonts. So what I'll go ahead and do is I'll click on that. And I'm on the Mac. I'm using the Chrome browser. Down here in the lower left corner, you can see it's starting to download, and it's a 300 megabyte file. So not terribly large, but it does have all the fonts in there, and so you can expect it to be a little bit sizable on your computer. So make sure you have some space to store this archive. So looking down, we talk about licensing here. These are open font license fonts. That means you can use them and you can share them as well. They do not have copyright restrictions on them, and so they are available free for use on the web, in print, wherever you see fit to use them. So we are just about done. It looks like it's actually a little bit larger than a 300 megabyte file, but it's downloaded everything. It's made it to my desktop. I have a fonts font.master.zip here on my desktop. And what I'm going to do is I am on the PC, I'm on the Mac here, so it may be different on a PC. I'm going to double click on that zip file and I'm going to open that. And then we'll take a look. It's unarchiving this and it gives me a folder. So here's my zip, original zip, and here's my fonts master folder. So I can open that up and let's take a look at it here in column view. Let's take a look at it in icon view here. So we got a lot of folders going on here. Don't worry about any of them except for the Apache. You'll find some of the fonts in there. But mainly all of your fonts are going to be in OFL folder here. You can see all of these. So let's look for Roboto. We'll scroll down very quickly, see if Roboto made its way in. Let's take a look, and okay, so Roboto's not in this folder that I can see. So let's go back to that Apache folder, double click on that, come down, Roboto, here we go. So Roboto Mono, that's the monospace version. There's the slab version. And then we can go ahead and go from there. So I'm not going to show you how to install everything. The video again by Dusty Porter is a very good video to walk you through how to do that both on Mac and PC. So if you want to go searching for your fonts in Google Fonts, they have a good amount of fonts that you can select. You can also type out something. Say you wanted to try a company name. I'm going to go ahead and try Shum Creative here. And I can see, I get a preview of what it might look like in different typefaces. So I can come through here, scroll, look at the different nuances, look at the characteristics of each typeface font, that kind of thing, and look at it. I can also kind of dig in a little bit further, say I like this Nunito. I'm going to click on that font name and it will show me all of the styles that are included. So you can see we got, let's see, 14 different styles. It'll show me a glyphs preview, a preview of all of the letters and all of the characters. It tells me a little bit about Nunito, the designers, the license, and what kind of typefaces we could, or fonts that we could pair with this to make it look pretty good. You can get a little preview here. Looks like they have Nunito for the headline or the subhead here, and then have some preview text down here in Roboto. So you can change those out, just kind of see how things look. Gives you a good preview there. So coming back up, let's go back. I'm going to go ahead and back, hit my back button. You can see over here next to each of the typeface names, the font names here, we have 14 styles for Nunito. We have Open Sans Condensed, 3 styles. Ubuntu, never could say that right, but that's 8 styles. And you can see we got a lot of different things. So I like to look for ones that have a good amount of styles to work with. Variable, that allows you to change the width, allows you to change the different styles within the typeface. So variable, they're coming online. A lot more designers are creating variable font widths for you to work with, different styles. One last thing before we finish out this video here is I have another site that I like to go to for some free fonts, also paid fonts. Well, let's close out that. Let's bring that over. This is Font Squirrel. So Font Squirrel, you can get a lot of the same Google fonts in Font Squirrel. Let me close that ad. You can go ahead and download the OTF. You'll learn about that in that install video here from Dusty Porter, but you can go ahead and download the OTF, the TTF versions, and you can use them. You can also see that they have different versions for screen, print, and tablet, those kinds of things, so you can go ahead and do that as well. So you can use a lot of these fonts in printed material, digital material, websites, that kind of thing. They're all pretty good for doing that. So that's what I want to show you. I wanted to give you kind of an overview of Google Fonts. this how to download and install them, and then of course the Font Squirrel website address. We took a look at downloading that Fonts Master from that GitHub address, and that's a great way to get those. Just store them locally on your computer, and then that way you don't have to keep going back to Google Fonts. You know that you already have them available on your computer, and you can use Google Fonts to kind of look at things before you actually install them. So with that, that closes out this video. Go ahead and try each one of these websites out and see how you like it. Thanks a lot.